Guys, you're currently watching a clip from our weekly podcast, Never Onside. The full podcast is available in audio format on Spotify and in video format on YouTube. So go subscribe to us and press on the notifications. It helps us a lot. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Never Onside. Hi, this is Joseph, and joining me as usual is Mayur. This was a crazy good game week in which a lot of the top six side dropped points. The likes of Arsenal, the league leaders, dropped points. Brighton gave Man City a run for their money. Tottenham lost to Newcastle. Chelsea and United game ended up in a draw, 1-all draw, which helped Newcastle break into the top four for the first time. So we'll be discussing the events from this game week, and we'll also check out our FPL scores as well. So let's get into it. Yeah, Mayur.
So the game week started very badly. So the Liverpool game, everyone predicted this would be a high scoring match for Liverpool, but Liverpool lacked the likes of Nunes in attack. He was suffering through an injury, so wasn't in the squad, and that made a lot of things difficult for Liverpool. So you saw that match, right? So can you just guide us through it?
Yeah, right. So I saw the match, and the first thing that you have to say is that Nottingham Forest defended very well. They were in their shape throughout the 90 minutes. Liverpool didn't get any joy out on any of the flanks, and which saw Carvalho being substituted early, and it was a game in which Liverpool really struggled to create chances. You could see that they were missing that one man up front in the form of Diaz or Diego Jota or someone. So it was very evident. We expected, or especially the FPL community, expected a return from Salah this week, and he played up front in a 4-4-2 with Firmino and Salah up front, but Liverpool really created very less number of chances, and Klopp was very pissed after the match. He was like, "I don't understand how a team can dominate so much and still not win the match. We had so many chances in the form of set pieces, but we didn't convert." So Pep was losing it in the press conferences, but you could see that he is being irritated by the lack of finishing, the lack of number chances that Liverpool are creating, and this has been a theme throughout the season. So nothing surprising there. Just the fact that Nottingham Forest got that very important goal and 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 defended really well. So that is the story of that match. And did you watch the City Brighton match?
Yeah. So it was a very good game. So I am a huge fan of Pep Guardiola, and De Zerbi also quite looks at to Pep. So that was a very interesting game. Though the score doesn't justify what happened in the game, but as we all know, Brighton we have seen under De Zerbi like to press man for man. So similar pattern which we have seen, which we'll be seeing in ETH and the Chelsea game, United game, and the Spurs games as well. So that is the common pattern which Brighton have taken under De Zerbi. So City, it's just fascinating to see how City constantly try to find out various ways. So the initial thing was they played three at the back and cancel generally tucks in or goes tucks behind Rodri, like with Rodri or somewhere. But this time around he was well ahead, Cancelo. But we saw Pep using Ederson as the center back. So that was a very good way to get the four-man advantage ahead of Brighton's three-man forward line. So that was the first good thing they did. And the second thing they did was they allowed, like they told Bernardo and Kevin De Bruyne to come very deep, which attracted both their markers who were marking, and it's left a lot of space for Haaland. So generally we know Haaland for running into spaces, heading balls, but we are not well aware of the way he sets up those first touches for his midfielders. So this was the game where we saw it in full force. He tried to come in those lines, in between lines, just calmly passed the ball to his midfielder and then spun back and started running. So that is how he got those chances, and we all know how the goal came. he tried to push Webster. It was right, if I'm not wrong, Webster or Dunk.
Yeah,
I'm not.
right. Webster or
Webster.
Dunk, so one of
Yes.
the.
So he pushed him. He showed his strength. He let the ball go. Ederson tried to pick him. So that was the overall theme which Man City did for Brighton, and they got the result. They had one or two penalty, like one penalty shout wasn't given for Man City, which was the more obvious one rather than the Haaland one, which was a
Hmm.
bit more dicey. But yeah, in all, City really outsmarted them. And Bernardo especially mentioned in post-match game, they knew Pep had told them they will be playing man for man, but it was very little man for man, and they didn't expect it in the first 5 minutes. And as soon as they realized, as I mentioned, Pep told Bernardo and De Bruyne to come down. It was like they were playing with four center backs and three midfielders within a space of like 30 yards. So it was very compact, and then all the space was left for Haaland to come in and give those touches. So overall, a good game to watch. If you haven't watched the game, do watch the game. It was a very good
Yeah.
affair, tactically
Brighton
as well.
really came back into the match in the
Yes,
second half, right? They
yes,
tried their best, and it was 2-1 at that moment. And if Brighton got a lot of chances, to be
chances.
honest, like in the second half, they could have leveled it, but then City, being City, ran away with it with the third goal. Yeah, so that is it, and we'll come to the Chelsea versus United match later. Is there any other this was Newcastle match? Conte has been complaining in the press conferences about that he'll need 2 or 3 more transfer windows to get this side into the top things. I don't know if he is playing it down, but the likes of Jose Mourinho had a much worse team than this, and Conte has gotten almost everyone that he asked for, except for the right back position. He has a very good side, and there is no you cannot justify why he is saying like that, because I'm sure Levy wouldn't like that as well, because they don't dominate matches at all. They let their opposition dominate at home. You can't do that, right? Yeah,
And it was a fair. Many Spurs fans were very skeptical about this match. Many Spurs fans I saw, they predicted a draw, but we saw how Newcastle started the game, took the game to Spurs, and Spurs couldn't control. And most of the both the goals almost got were from a mistake from Loris or the defense mostly. So that's
right.
how we know Newcastle are ready to press, and Almiron is in a purple patch. So anything you give him, it's a free gift. It's like
Yeah,
Christmas
right.
coming early. So
And
it was a very
Newcastle has impressed us in this season. Eddie Howe deserves all the praise that he can get. We are not saying that they have not spent money or anything, but the right players at the right time, and the team also playing really well. This is a testament to how good Eddie Howe is as a manager. I think we have lost Mayur.
no. You can continue. The
Yeah, right.
Southampton versus Arsenal game. So we'll just take a
Yeah.
look at it. So you watched the game, right? Host Southampton and Arsenal, and
Southampton, yeah. Southampton was Arsenal game. We were expecting Arsenal to win this, but
yes, and
Southampton
it
on
was
their day are very good, and they can win or draw against any side on their day. On another day, they get beaten 8-0, 9-0. So yeah, so Arsenal started the game well. They dominated the game. The likes of Martinelli were very good. They should have finished at least 2, 3 goals should have been scored in the first half, and they regretted that in the second half when Southampton, after the first goal, decided to change shape, and that is so we expected Southampton to line up um, in a way that in the with a back four, but I think they lined up with a back three in the start, and after the first goal, they did a
the switch.
substitution to
Yes.
get a back four, if I'm not wrong, and that is what led to them, getting control of the game. And from that point on, you could see that Arsenal were struggling to cope with the likes of Armstrong and Ward-Prowse and people like that, who were cutting in, were putting in passes between Arsenal's line and trying to dominate the game. They started with the back four. I think we all expected them to start with the back three against Arsenal. And as soon as the first goal went in, and when Arsenal were dominating, they switched it, and then they got control of the game. And Arsenal were particularly poor in the second half. A shocking performance, to say the least. They didn't get many chances in the second half, so I was very surprised why that happened. So we have seen, I've noticed a lot of times where Arsenal are very good in spells, and if they capitalize on that spell, then they will win the match. Even against United, we had mentioned that there were 2-3 spells in which Arsenal were dominating United, but they couldn't get that win in that match because United took those chances that they got. They hardly got 3-4 chances, and they took all those chances. So that is an issue which will come to haunt Arsenal if they don't finish those chances. Martinelli had a good chance. Jesus had a good chance. Odegaard was really impressive in the match. Yeah. So
Yes.
that is what happened, and Arsenal eventually dropped points.
So probably just to sum it up, so that's what they have been lacking compared to a City team who can dominate those spells, take those chances, and that's why we see City being the champions, even though Arsenal have a lead. But that is what Arsenal has been lacking throughout this season as well. The control in games to be dominant throughout 90 minutes. That
Right.
is what they have
Right.
been lacking, and they haven't been able to take those chances. But again, it's a project which is going on, and definitely in the upcoming seasons there will be a team to target. But yes, whatever they are
Mm.
doing, it's very good, but they
Yeah,
have
and
to improve on that part.
yeah, right. And also a mention has to be given to the two or three matches which uh, gave us 4 5 goals, like 3 or 4 goals. Aston Villa scoring 3 goals in the first half, and the
It was
likes of
never unheard of.
Watkins, Ings scored 2 goals, and also Leicester absolutely ran past Wolves, and Everton were very impressive against Crystal Palace. Like you don't expect those kind of results, but this was a free game
Fun
week in which all those things happened. Yeah,
happened.
and we have one more
Exactly.
match pending, which will happen tonight: West Ham versus Bournemouth. Yeah, right. So
So let's
let's
go now
get
to
into
Chelsea
the
United game.
the Chelsea United match. Yeah. So this was the Sunday big match of the game week, and United came into this match with a dominant display against Spurs. So this illustration is basically about how United lined up against Spurs. So United are very fluid now in their pressings. You can definitely see on your in the eye test that they are much better in terms of pressing sides. In the overall play, they are much better. They are finding passes between the lines. They are attacking as a unit. They are defending as a unit. So this is something which has gradually improved under Eric Ten Hag. And if you see the pressing system, United have three men up front usually, the likes of Anthony, Rashford, Sancho in the front three, and then behind them there is Fernandez and Ericsson, who are the creative engine of the team. And right now, Casemiro has made the number 6 spot his own right now, and that is how United line up in the front end of the pitch. So what Eric Ten Hag is doing is making sure that the opposition goalkeeper doesn't get to pass out the ball easily. So they're forcing the likes of
Hmm.
Kepa, the like of Loris to put in long balls. So that was the target for both the matches. And if you look at this illustration, just the numbers are just for the illustration. It doesn't represent anything. So the three center backs that Spurs played were being marked by the three front players, and the likes of Hoiberg and Bissouma were targeted by our creative players like Ericsson and Fernandez. So this eliminated the chance for a team like Spurs, who like to play out from the back. And once they start playing out from the back and they get through the first line of pressing, the likes of Kane and Son comes into play, and they will be one on one against the defenders. If you're going man to man against the Spurs side. So that's why you find Spurs getting success with teams who press high. But what Eric Ten Hag did is that he deployed a hybrid kind of pressing in which there is a cover always in midfield. So the cover in this match was the Casemiro, and instead of Ericsson, Fred played in this match. And you could see from the start that in the Spurs match, Casemiro was really impressive. Fred was really impressive. The tactically, Eric Ten Hag dominated Conte from the start, and I have not seen United play this well in any of the matches under Eric Ten Hag. So, special mention to Ten Hag for getting the tactics right against Conte, and the likes of Casemiro getting into the first team has improved the team a lot. And so this is how Spurs vs United went, and United dominated the match. And if you go to the next slide, you will see how United lined up against Chelsea. This time we had a very attacking lineup with Ericsson coming back and Fernandez also in there, and Casemiro being the a player who defends the zonal area in midfield in the center of the pitch. So United again played with three men up front. So they deployed a 3-2 structure in pressing. And initially, Potter had three at the back with Silva, Cucurella, and I think Colubelli playing. Yeah, so those three players were playing in defense, and United pressed them from the start. And Kepa didn't have a chance to play any balls through Jorginho, which the likes of Chelsea are usually doing. They get a pivot to completely dictate the play and get in small triangles in midfield. So United completely eliminated that in the first 37 minutes with that pressing of 3-2 structure, with Anthony having the role to press one of the center backs and also the right wing back as well. So Chilwell and Cucurella. And Ericsson and Fernandez also pressed the midfielders. Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek didn't get any joy, and this is when Potter's in-game management kicked in, and you can see from that he reads the game so quickly and so well, and he is not afraid to make changes even in the first half to hook out someone like a Cucurella who is very, we thought we thought he would thrive under Potter, but Potter is not afraid to take out someone like a Cucurella in the 37 minute and put someone like a Kovacic so that the team is fluid enough. So this was a tactical change by Potter, and which resulted in Chelsea getting into the game, and they found joy in the wings, in the side wings, with a triangle being formed and short passes being given. So that's how the game went, and then eventually Scott McTominay pulled back. I think pulled back Pulisic or someone. I'm not sure who exactly, and that ended up in penalty.
Penalty.
And Jorginho scored it brilliantly, and Casemiro headed the goal back in the last minutes of stoppage time. So, in all, a very interesting match, and both the matches, United were tactically spot on, but unlike Conte, Potter decided to change things whenever he saw what changes he wanted to do. When he was sure United were going for this, Potter had the um,
Awareness.
brilliance to change awareness to change it in the 37th minute. Yeah, so that shows the difference between the two managers, and I don't like Conte complaining so much in press conferences when they have a really good squad.
Good score.
Yeah,
Yes. And overall, a good game. 1-1 is a deserved score. I know United had a lot of chances in the initial part
right.
when they were playing against the three center back, like in a formation against 3-5-2. But to be fair, Chelsea really came back in the second half
Yes.
when once Potter made the change. So a very interesting game. And
Yeah.
this is the brilliance which is shown in the top managers who can just make in-game managements, as we saw Pep doing, taking Ederson, playing him as a center back, then bringing down Rodri, Bernardo and De Bruyne alongside Rodri, Potter doing this thing, Eric Ten Hag trying to play against like 3-5-2 teams in a way which helps United, and Casemiro as well, who is best suited for his position. And
Right.
genuinely I thought Casemiro, like I still think Casemiro isn't the best what United wanted, or isn't a long term option, but short term option, yes. He has definitely improved, and Eric Ten Hag has played him brilliantly. The way he like the whole team supports him and works to his strengths rather than exposing his weaknesses. So
Right.
a good week of game in Premier League. So let's
Yeah.
move on to the